Hey guys, I've got two broken Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. It's time to combine them and get one working. Let's see what we can do. So this Joy-Con has a broken analog stick, as you can see. That analog stick can't be fixed, it's just going to have to be replaced. But this has a good one, so we should be fine there. This one here, the shoulder button's broken. And the problem is the shoulder button on the right Joy-Con is actually soldered to the main board. So the pads have been ripped off. It would be a very, very difficult fix. I don't have the tools or the expertise to fix that at this time. Step one is taking the shells off. So for that, you're going to need a 00Y or tri-wing screwdriver. So with these, just going to take off the back. Just be careful, there are two ribbon cables holding that in. And then once we have that, let's take a look at the batteries. This one might be bulging. Yeah, it's tough to see, but you could tell that battery's bulging a little bit. So we definitely don't want to use that. We want to properly dispose of that. You can see like this one, if you compare them, it's not even close. So we're definitely going to use the battery from this one for sure. And I'll have to, right now, let's just disconnect that battery. The batteries are held down by some glue, some tape, but it should pop up pretty easy. Oh my goodness, that battery is super bulged. I'm going to give you guys a better look now that it's out. Let's just disconnect this battery. You can really see that now. See how bulged that is? Wow. Okay, so let's just set that aside. I'm going to have to dispose of that properly today. And this battery's already disconnected because I was already working on this one. I already took it apart. Alright, so there's our good battery. In terms of everything else, let's get down. Let's get rid of this mid frame so we can get down to the main board. So once you're inside, you do need to switch to Phillips. And this is a 00 Phillips. Everything inside will use that. I hate that they use different screw types, but it is what it is. So the mid frame has 3 screws, 2 at the top here, 1 at the bottom, and then that'll just lift out. There is a cable connecting the mid frame to the bottom, so be careful of that. And that is for the trigger. So I think what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and just disconnect this mid frame. And we'll probably use this mid frame for the good one. So to disconnect that, there is this ribbon cable right here. There's a little gray tab you just got to pop up. I'm just using a spudger. Pops up, and then it pulls out. So this will be our good mid frame. The trigger is already there, seems to work well, so we'll use that as our good piece. And now the nice thing is once you get rid of that mid frame, I mean, this is the analog stick right there. It's just got 2 screws and a ribbon cable. No soldering. It's really easy, which is it's really nice. So let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side so I can get that analog stick out. So we got our 3 mid-frame screws. This will lift right out. And then I'll disconnect this one too. And then let's just set that one aside so I don't use that one. And then we'll go ahead and take out our analog stick. Same thing here, there's just a little tab you gotta pop up, and then the analog stick ribbon cable will come right out. The analog stick does have a little grommet around the hole that will kind of grab at it too, but here's our good analog stick. Everything seems to work great on it. So we'll go ahead and use that over here. So now let's remove the bad analog stick. So there's our bad broken one. That's garbage. Just like that battery. Whew. It's always scary seeing a bulged battery like that. Lithium batteries are super dangerous. Alright, so I think my next thing I'm going to do is just put the good analog stick in here, put everything together, and give this one a try and see how it works. May need to do some cleaning in terms of the buttons if they're sticky, which unfortunately it does require you to go all the way down and take everything out. But let's just put it together, make sure everything else works. So I'm going to just screw the analog stick down first, and then I'll connect the ribbon cable. And it's always easier to disconnect the ribbon cable than to reconnect it. That's why I try. Let's get this guy out of the way. Let's give us some room here. I always try to not disconnect the cable if I don't have to, because it can be a pain. But I've just got some small tweezers here, and I'm just going to grab the cable and not damage it. That's very important. There we go. And then just put down the tab, and perfect. We are connected. Now that that's in, let's go ahead and grab our good mid frame. And let's see if we can get that cable connected. Actually, before we put the mid frame in, I'm going to connect the battery because this connector is all the way down here. And once the mid frame's in, it's just not going to give you a lot of room. So the battery's not that easy to connect either. You just kind of line it up and push it into place. I'm just using my plastic spudger. And I think we're connected. Let's see. There we go. It just kind of clicks into place. Alright, now let's do the mid frame. So here, another fun ribbon cable. So you kind of want to just get the mid frame out of the way. Make sure that gray tab is up. Slot that in. And then close the tab. There we go. Actually, that wasn't that bad. Then it just kind of rolls over here. With this mid frame, there's a couple wires to be careful of. There's this sensor here. It's a gray cable. You got to make sure it doesn't go underneath that 1 foot, because this just kind of comes around and slots in. Let's screw this down though to make it easier to maneuver. I forgot one thing. We need our shoulder button. So the shoulder button just goes in here. There's 2 little lips that sits underneath, and then there's a spring that goes into a housing. Pretty simple. Sometimes you got to push that spring in just to get it in the right spot. Once that's down, you can just roll this mid frame and just kind of clamp it together. And then worry about our cable down at the bottom here, because it always likes to get stuck underneath. And let's put a screw in before everything falls apart. Okay, 1 screw. 2 screws. 3. Let's flip our battery back into place like that. And then, like I said, this little sensor here, it tucks into the bottom, and then it slides in right here. Just slides in like that. And then tucks in. And that should be it. Yep. Let's go ahead and put this shell back on. And let's test it out and make sure everything works on it now. Power's on, so that's good. We saw that light pop up. We got to switch back to our 00Y or try. These screws are not very magnetic, so it makes it a little more difficult. And having that analog stick just kind of makes everything rock around. I will say having the iFixit driver is awesome. It's just a great screwdriver. I highly recommend it. 1 more screw. Alright guys, now that we're all together here, just test the buttons. They seem like they work pretty well. Let's connect it to a switch and take a look. Alright, so we've got our switch here. It recognizes, so that's good. And let's do just test some buttons. B, A, Y, X. So the X is a little sticky, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. It still works, it just means it might need to be cleaned. Analog stick seems to work. I do want to test the side buttons too. Yep. Alright, last thing. Let's go ahead and test this analog stick. I don't see any drift there. Returns to the center every time. Yeah. Alright guys, so great success. I was able to take two non-working Joy-Cons, combine them, and make one that works. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.